University Press Audiobooks presents Civil War Battles, a Chelsea House title, written by Tim Mcneese, narrated by Brett Barry. This audio edition is based on the book published by Chelsea House Publishers, an imprint of Infobase Publishing. Chapter 1. Bull Run, Manassas. For 4 straight years, the people of the United States fought one another in a brutal war. The Civil War would result in the deaths of about 620,000 men in uniform. More Americans died during this bloody 19th century conflict than in all other American wars combined. They fought on battlefields across the South and on northern soil in Maryland, Pennsylvania, Missouri, and Kentucky, even though that state's government was officially neutral. The war's battles are nearly countless, ranging from minor skirmishes to full-scale engagements that sometimes stretched across battlefields measuring miles in length. Some of those battles would become key to the overall outcome of the war and revealed the honor of the armies that clashed across bloodied ground. Sometimes these battles displayed the limits of a man's endurance and the frayed ends of his ability to cause death, watching it up close and personal. The story of these battles is the story of the men who risked their lives for a personal cause. In the end, some of those men paid the ultimate sacrifice. The U.S. Civil War had been decades in coming. For most of the first half of the 19th century, the United States was expanding into a continental nation, one spanning from the Atlantic to the Pacific. During this time, a great debate was swirling over the issue of the expansion of slavery. By mid-century, 1 out of every 7 people living in the United States was a black person held in permanent bondage. In the North, where limited slavery had existed during the colonial era of the 1600s and 1700s, many people did not feel that slavery had an impact on their lives. Many Northerners were not opposed to Southerners holding slaves. They simply did not want to see the peculiar institution spread into the territories as more and more Americans migrated into the vast open lands of the West. The expansion of slavery had divided the country and had been the focus of constant debate and congressional argument. Congressmen had written up repeated compromises that allowed slavery in one place while denying it elsewhere. Postponing a certain outcome. The arguments over slavery's expansion merely put off what was sure to happen. By the 1850s, the issue had turned white-hot. A new political party, the Republican Party, had been established in 1854. They were nearly all Northerners who opposed the expansion of slavery into the Western lands. When they nearly elected a president in 1856 without a single Southern vote, Southerners panicked. Then Republicans elected Abraham Lincoln from Illinois. Many Southerners believed he was not only opposed to slavery's expansion, but to even the existence of slavery. Because of this, when he was elected, they chose to leave the United States altogether. In December 1860, South Carolina seceded from the Union. Over the following 6 months, another 10 Southern states joined with it to form their own country, the Confederate States of America. When the newly inaugurated President Lincoln insisted that the U.S. government have control over federal lands in the South, Southerners in Charleston, South Carolina, decided to fire on a federal fort out in the city's harbor, Fort Sumter. On the morning of April 12, 1861, Confederate artillery batteries opened fire and bombarded the Union stone fortress for 36 straight hours until it surrendered. The Civil War had begun. Meanwhile, both sides had already gathered massive armies for the coming fight. Many thought a single large battle might actually determine the outcome of the war. To hurry that battle along, a Union army that was gathered outside Washington, D.C., was sent across the Potomac River toward the rebel capital of Richmond, Virginia. The battle that unfolded would become the first major field engagement of the war. Color confusion on the battlefield. When the Civil War opened in the spring of 1861, so many men volunteered for military service, the war departments of both armies were soon overwhelmed. They experienced shortages of everything needed for their new troops, from knapsacks to guns to socks. Lifting some of this strain on supply for both armies was the fact that a considerable number of the troops that would make up the early armies were militiamen from the various states. These men were already uniformed and supplied for fighting. However, each
Sample complete. Ready to continue?